Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. It's me, Amber Harrison. I'm the owner and founder of Brow Envy and Brow Envy Academy. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a super awesome video. I'm really excited about it because it's a full video from start to finish on how to do a powder brow annual touch-up. This is my beautiful mama, and I've done her powder brows before. She also had microblading before, so I need to warm up the color. So if that's something you need help with, you're going to enjoy this video. And also, I have areas that I want to remove eventually and let fade away. So we're going to be ignoring some of her color here, like on her tails. And if you've ever needed help with that, or you think you might in the future, you're going to want to keep watching because I'm going to share all my secrets on that. And before we continue, if you like our channel and this type of stuff is helpful to you, please remember to subscribe and don't forget to like or comment with any comments or questions. I'd love to hear from you guys. And with that being said, let's just jump in. Okay guys, so I always start off every touch-up with a consult. So we've already done that at this point. And then the next thing that I do is I map out the brows. Even though they're already there, I want to make sure that they're still symmetrical. We may have some opportunity to improve the symmetry at annual touch-ups. And also sometimes as they fade over the years, they get lighter, they shrink, and sometimes they're a little bit off. So we always want to remap. Now, for the purposes of today's video, I really wanted to show you guys an entire powder brow touch-up, but I am showing you a high-level overview of how I do my mapping process and all of my touch-ups. So that's what you see me doing here with string. If you do need help with mapping, we do have a class on mapping on our website at www.pmucoach.com. Or you'll get access to that and 10 other classes, as well as our weekly trainings and our private Facebook group where I am your personal coach and mentor to answer any questions that you have. All of that's included in our membership for only $49 a month, which is awesome. And we'd love to have you. You can learn more at pmucoach.com or send me an email at info@pmucoach.com. Okay, so what you see me doing here is just plotting my points on where I want the brows to start, arch, and end. Now you see here she already has eyebrows, of course, because we're doing an annual touch-up, but I am just double checking and triple checking those points. I do use calipers sometimes just to check those measurements to make sure they're the same on either side, although I will say you want to make sure you're careful with calipers to make sure that you're measuring, but remembering that everyone's faces are asymmetrical, so don't just use the measurements. Make sure you're actually looking at their brows to see if the shapes you're creating are even. So now that you've plotted where you want them to start, arch, and end, you need to go ahead and start creating your outline. So I like to use string to do the whole thing. Sometimes I use pencil, but for the most part, I'm just connecting the dots, and her shape is really intact. We just kind of want to sharpen things up. So that's all you see me doing here. Now that we have one brow completely outlined, we need to make the other brow like it. So that's where the string mapping really comes into play. The first thing I'm doing here is figuring out how high to make her arches, which is what that sideways line is for. And now figuring out how tall to make the fronts. And then next we're gonna figure out how low to make the bottoms so we can make sure that they're even. And right away, you'll begin to notice that using the string method, you create some shapes. Those squares and triangles really help to make sure that your brows are even. That way you know that you can look at the brows to see if they're the same, and also the shapes you've created. If the shapes are different on one side of the face than the other, then you know that the brows are off, and you can keep working on making them more symmetrical. Now I'm just checking that bottom arch to see if I can make sure that those are even side to side so we can finish the other eyebrow, and then we'll wipe this whole grid off and use our eyeballs to make sure that these brows pass the eye test in addition to the map test. Straight ahead, sure. So I wanted to show you guys kind of like my point of view and what I do when I sit people up. So when people are laying down, they usually look really, really even and like perfect once you've mapped them. But a lot of times when we sit up and open our eyes and make expressions, you can kind of see where there might be slight differences between the two. So I always recommend checking your client's brow shape when they sit up. And actually, this is pretty good. There's usually one of Sherry's brows that I like more than the other, but these are pretty even. So So Sherry's all mapped out and I've already swatched the color. She's approved it. I always recommend that you swatch the color on your client's forehead. I'm going to be using a combination of a couple colors. I always use Permablend for my powder brows, and the color that I'm using, this combo, is darkest brown and forest brown, some of my go-to colors. It creates a nice rich dark brown. And then we're going to be using Permablend's Tina Gold Sunrise to warm the color up from her prior work. I'm using my trusty favorite machine, the Microblading Zion S, and the cartridge that I'm using is the Kwadron 1-round liner. It is a long taper, so a single needle. I always use a single needle on powder brows because I love the pixelated look. Here I'm showing you guys the amount of needle hang that I have out of my machine. I will always teach this in my powder brow classes, so if you're in the market for a powder brow class, I would love to teach you, and I'll be sharing with you how I adjust my needle to get the proper results. So as promised, I'm going to be jumping in and showing you how I outline and complete the process. And I'm also going to be giving you my tips and tricks on ignoring ink that you want to fade away or remove later. In my classes, I will teach you how to hardline and Stardust outline so you can get both looks. I don't know if you guys can see this on camera or not, but she's got a little bit of color up here above the line from a couple of years ago that we're not going to include because we're trying to make this like a sleeker, more defined arch, and we know it's too thick and rounded there. So we're not going to go over it today. We're going to see what she thinks after her touch-up when they heal, and if we need to, we can go in and do a little removal there, but most likely we'll just let that keep fading away. And then we'll kind of go from there. Today it'll probably be more noticeable because the numbing makes kind of like all the ink stand out, but it'll go back to normal. Now that the outline is done, you're going to do a quick shade through of the first pass to open their skin up so that they can get more numb. Now that she's nice and numb, we're gonna go ahead and wipe that off, and then my outline will be nice and in place, super soft, but easy to follow. Now after just the outlining pass, you can see here on camera where the old cool microblading strokes are that we're leaving out, that we're hoping that will fade or we'll do removal on. So again, I'm completely ignoring those. You can do your touch-ups by just ignoring them and sharpening up the shape. Of course, you're gonna probably wanna do removal or something later, otherwise the client is gonna notice them, especially on day one. Most of the numbing gels that we use make the skin look a little bit white temporarily, and that really makes that color pop. So if that happens to you, you wanna make sure you can tell your clients that that is temporary, and it will go back to being a little more soft and faded within the next hour. Now typically I don't outline again after the first pass, however, because I really want to sharpen up this arch and I want this tail to be nice and straight, and I want to be very clear on the color that I'm leaving out and not covering up. I'm going in here and I'm just really tight outlining the area so that I have a nice crisp shape. One thing you'll notice is that I don't hardline or heavily saturate the front top edge of the brow. I want that to be nice and soft and pixelated, so you do have to make sure that you're not over outlining that area. Now that my outline is tightened up, I'm going to go ahead and do my first real pass where I shade from the tail all the way to the front. I would always recommend wiping the area that you're working in the beginning stages of your powder brow process, just to make sure that the saturation is going the way you would like. That way you can make adjustments to speed or hand movement, machine angle, and things like that before you get too far along in the process if needed. Here's an up-close look at some of those pixels, and the best way to achieve pixelated powder brows like this is to use the single needle as opposed to using a bigger needle grouping, although it can be done with needle groupings that are larger than the single needle. I just think this is easier for most new artists. Sometimes during my sessions, I like to take my string and check my work. So here I'm just checking the arches and the fronts to make sure they still are even. Just be careful that you're not changing the shape drastically at this time, because remember, they may be a little bit swollen, and the time to get your brows even and super symmetrical is during the design process. Now we've done a few passes. As you can see, the right brow has not caught up with the left yet. I tend to mostly finish one brow before I go on to the next. So this one's almost done. At this point in the process, I'm just evening them out and checking for any light spots, trying to make sure my pixels are even, and then I'm going to save the ombre at the front for last. Once I'm pretty satisfied with the other brow, I'm going to come in and I'm going to finish her right brow and catch it up with the left one. And then at that point, I'll be looking at the fronts to make sure the ombres are even. And then at that point, I like to sit my clients up and just check so that they can weigh in as well. I always think it's a good idea to collaborate with your clients rather than take ownership of their brows. After all, they are their brows. And I think clients appreciate you including them in the process. So I would always recommend showing them before you're finished. So stop when you're like 90% of the way done, so you have a little more room to work. You look beautiful. We're going to try to soften this arch a little bit because she wanted more pointy, but that one's just like a little more pointy than the other one. But these little pixels look so pretty. We're gonna blend a little more. Those pixels are what makes it look soft. And then we're gonna see if we can just like fill this tail so that it's more blended. And then again, oops, sorry, Sherry. Super classy, I'm so professional. Then we're gonna ignore this little bit of color here because we're gonna let that fade out, or maybe we'll remove it later. Now remember, at the beginning of the video, I told you guys that I was going to be showing you how to warm up color. So we included the forest brown to warm up her dark brown in the mixture that we used, but I also did a pigment soak with Tina's Gold Sunrise, which is like a yellowy orange based pigment. And I let that soak for a little while to really warm up the color. So that's what you see with this crazy orange here. But that little mask just really helps to kind of soak in and get her brows to be a little bit warmer so they don't heal on the ashy side like they have in the past. And she done. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If you guys need actual training and you think this video was helpful, you can only imagine how much awesome stuff I include in my classes. So you can get one-on-one classes or advanced group classes in our Cincinnati training facility. You can reach out to us at info@pmucoach.com or visit us on our website, and I would be happy to help.